Hello, my name is Jack. I am a student of English literature. This is my story. I want to tell you about my life in London. I want to tell you about my wonderful teacher. You can read and listen to my story. You can learn English with me. It is a beautiful summer day. I am traveling by train. Two women are on the train with me. The women are sitting in front of me. They are speaking English. I do not understand much. I am studying English, but I am a beginner and do not know many words. I started talking to the women. I said some basic words in English. The women understood what I wanted to say, which made me happy. I said that I wanted to learn English. The women told me they were from England and were going home from a conference. Our conversation lasted 10 minutes. The next station was mine. I said goodbye. The women gave me their address and phone number. They told me I could visit them in England. Then we said goodbye. After this meeting, I worked on my English every day. I translated texts and watched movies in English. In 6 months, my English got better. It was good now, but I wanted to learn more. I went to London. I wanted to study English in London. When I was in London, I joined a school. My first lesson was on Monday. I met my teacher and other students in the class. The teacher was young and beautiful. She was very nice and humble. We introduced ourselves and then continued with the lesson. Our teacher had a question for us. She wanted to know our general knowledge of the language. Our teacher said she could teach us a very effective way to learn English. This method was straightforward. Our teacher told us that we would not have to study or read textbooks, but we would have to use English a lot in our daily lives. It turned out to be very effective for me. I wouldn't say I liked studying from textbooks because it confused me. We then talked about what is important when learning a new language. Our teacher told us that language is a purpose and a way to communicate. We need languages to communicate. Languages help us express ideas and thoughts. So, when you learn a new language, the best way is to use the language to express your feelings and communicate with others well. This is what we will do in our course. We will talk and use English. And this was very interesting for me. I had not heard of this technique before. When the lesson ended, I went to the school reception. I asked the lady if there were any sports activities at the school. I want to play some sports in England. The lady at the reception said, yes. We have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team practices today at 5. I was very happy because sports are very important in my life. I went to the football team practice. I met many players from different countries. The players are from Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I loved the training. I was very happy that my time in England started well. I have a great teacher. And I also have some new friends from the football team. I will start my work tomorrow too. When you want to have good pronunciation, repeat after native speakers. On Thursday, I went to school again. We had a new student in our class. Her name is Elizabeth, and she is from Italy. At the beginning of the lesson, my teacher asked Elizabeth some questions. My teacher knew Elizabeth because Elizabeth visited her class a year ago. It was a beginner's class and lasted for only 2 weeks during the summer holiday. When Elizabeth speaks, she speaks beautifully. Her pronunciation is very good, and she speaks fluently. My teacher was very happy and told Elizabeth that her school in Italy must be very good. Elizabeth said, I do not go to any school. I learn English at home. I use the techniques that I learned from you. I do a lot of reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud. I try to think in English more than in Italian. This is how I work on my English. The 2 weeks I spent last summer in your class helped me a lot and showed me how to work on my English every day. This is why I wanted to join your class again. Because a year ago I was a beginner, and now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again. My teacher was very happy when she heard these words. She appreciates Elizabeth for her hard work. Everything is very interesting for me. I already know about reading. I also know the shadowing technique. But Elizabeth also talks about thinking aloud. I do not know what it is. So I asked our teacher, what is thinking aloud? Our teacher replied, "It is a very effective technique. You must have strong motivation to learn English if you want to get benefits from this technique. It is also good to know that for some people, this technique is a bit crazy. But when you start thinking aloud, your English can get better very quickly." I said that I have strong motivation. I do not care if the technique is crazy if it helps me. I want to learn it. Can you teach us this technique? The teacher said, "It is actually very simple. You think in your native language all day, whenever it is natural. Now you can start thinking in English. And when you start thinking in English, you can think aloud. You can simply say out loud what you are thinking. It is very simple." Why is it so effective? Our teacher said, "Maybe you can ask Elizabeth. She uses this technique. Maybe she can tell you more about it then." Our teacher asked Elizabeth if it was okay to talk about her experience with thinking aloud. Elizabeth said, "It is not a problem." Elizabeth said, "When I started with this technique, it was not easy. I started with very simple sentences. For example, I can speak English. It is good that I can speak English. I want to be better. I need to practice every day. I do not know many words, but I can use these words. I can say my thoughts with these words. I can do this." Great, the sentences were very simple. But at the beginning, there was one problem. My thinking in Italian was long and complex. I could not say it in English exactly, but I said it in Italian. I needed to find a simpler form in English to think in simple English. That was the hardest part. But after some time, it was natural for me to think in English. At that time, something interesting happened. I met a man from Australia who was on vacation in Italy. I was still a beginner, but we started talking in English. I could see that I was able to talk to him without facing problems. My sentences were simple and short, but I could talk. I did not translate in my head from Italian to English. After meeting the man from Australia, I started using thinking aloud more. This technique helped me a lot with my speaking. I still use it every day. It is really a very effective technique. I thanked our teacher for Elizabeth's experience with thinking aloud. I wanted to use this technique because I also wanted to improve my speaking. When you want to speak English fluently, think aloud. The advice is, when you want to learn English, read, listen, and speak. Do each activity for 30 minutes every day.